There was a time when anyone would tremble upon hearing the name John D. Rockefeller. Not only was he the world's first billionaire, he's one of the richest people in human history, with a fortune equivalent to over $400 billion today. His empire, Standard Oil, became the most dominant monopoly in the world by brutally crushing competitors, taking control of multiple industries.
Welcome to the Executive Series, where we break down stories and strategies and legacies behind the world's wealth and power. From oil to algorithms, Rockefeller versus Bezos. You ever noticed how history doesn't repeat itself? But it kind of rhymes. Like the characters change, the industries change, but the game underneath, the game of power and wealth, it's eerily familiar. Take John D. Rockefeller and Jeff Bezos. On the surface, you couldn't find two more different people. Rockefeller was this quiet religious guy from the 1800s who believed in pennies and discipline. Bezos is space obsessed, a tech mogul with a laugh that could fill up a stadium. And yet, when you peel it all back, both men essentially played the same game. So let's talk about it. The world that Rockefeller entered. Imagine America in the 1860s. The country's fresh off of a civil war, railroads are crisscrossing the continent, and the new industry's bubbling up, oil. At first, oil was just for kerosene lamps. No cars, no plastic, no jet fuel, nothing. But it was like striking gold. And here comes John D. Rockefeller, this young bookkeeper from Cleveland. He's not loud, not flashy. While other businessmen were bragging in saloons, Rockefeller was quietly adding up his columns in his ledger book. He called it God's bookkeeping. He actually believed it. It was his divine duty to keep track of every cent. Now, most oil men at the time were gamblers. They strike a well, they strike a fortune, and it blow it just as fast. Rockefeller, he hated gambling. He wanted certainty. So instead of digging for oil, he focused on refining it, turning crude into usable kerosene. He thought, why bet on hitting the well when I can be the guy who processes everybody else's oil? Smart, right? Building Standard Oil. Here's where he really separated himself. Rockefeller didn't just run a refinery. He built an empire. He had two moves. First, ruthless efficiency. He cut costs everywhere. He'd even reused the leftover byproducts from refining things. Other companies threw them away. Rockefeller would turn them into new products. Waste wasn't waste to Rockefeller. It was profit waiting to be discovered. Second, he mastered the railroads. Oil had to move by train, and Rockefeller negotiated secret rebates with the railroad companies. While his competitors were paying full price to ship their oil, Rockefeller was paying less. That meant he could undercut the prices and still make money. Pretty soon, Standard Oil controlled more than 90% of America's oil market. 90%. That's not competition, that's domination. And here's the twist. When the government finally stepped in and brokered Standard Oil in 1911, Rockefeller didn't lose money, he got richer. Because of all those smaller pieces. Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, they skyrocketed in value. His wealth actually tripled. Imagine being so powerful that even when they take away your empire, you still win. Rockefeller's mindset. Here's the thing about Rockefeller. He wasn't about flexing wealth the way we think of it today. No Instagram yachts, none of that. No gold-plated everything. He lived very modestly, at least compared to his fortune. What drove him wasn't luxury, it was control. Control over markets, over prices, over the flow of resources. He wanted systems that no one could topple, and he played the long game. He created trusts to protect his wealth. He passed it through generations and built foundations that still exist today. You walk into Rockefeller Center in New York or visit a university or a hospital with his name on it. That's century-old flex. That's legacy. Enter Jeff Bezos. Now let's fast forward about 120 years. Seattle, 1994. The internet is this strange, clunky thing. Most people are using it as a dial-up to check emails. And Jeff Bezos, a Wall Street guy, sees something. He sees traffic on the internet growing at 2,300% a year. He thinks, if I don't jump on this now, I'll regret it forever. So he starts selling books online, just books, out of his garage. That's it. But like Rockefeller, Bezos wasn't really in the business you thought he was in. Rockefeller wasn't in oil drilling, he was in refining. Bezos wasn't in books, he was in infrastructure. What he was really building was the everything store, a logistic data empire that could deliver anything to anyone, anywhere. The same way Rockefeller made himself the middleman for oil, Bezos made himself the middleman for commerce. Scale, control, and power. Think about the parallels. Rockefeller controlled pipelines and railroads. Bezos controls digital pipelines, Amazon servers, warehouses, delivery trucks. Rockefeller's kerosene lit up American homes. Bezos' Amazon Web Services literally runs the internet. Netflix, Uber, government data, all powered by AWS. Rockefeller built a monopoly so strong it had to be broken up. Bezos built Amazon into such a giant that Congress had to debate breaking it up. It's the same pattern. Build the system, control the system, outlast everyone else. The differences, but here's where they diverge. Rockefeller's focus was dynasty. He set up trust funds, handled wealth down, and carved his name into institutions across America. He wanted his empire to last centuries. Bezos, he's not focused on legacy in a traditional sense. He's focused on disruption. One day it's e-commerce. The next is cloud computing. Now it's rockets. Blue Origin is his personal moonshot, literally. Rockefeller wanted permanence on Earth. Bezos wants to leave Earth. That's a huge difference in a mindset. What we can learn. So what does this all mean for us? For anyone who's trying to build wealth today? Rockefeller teaches value of patience, systems, and control. He showed that it's not about chasing every shiny object. It's about dominating one system so thoroughly that everyone else has to go through you. Bezos shows the power of speed, scale, and reinvention. He didn't just sit on books. He expanded into everything, then into a whole new industry with AWS. He proves that in a modern world, adaptability is its own kind of control. Here's the big question. Which model actually wins? Rockefeller's dynasty is still here, generations later. His descendants are still wealthy. His foundations are still powerful. Now that's legacy. Bezos, on the other hand, is shaping the present and maybe the future in ways that Rockefeller couldn't even have imagined. But will his wealth echo 100 years from now? Or will it just disappear the moment Amazon fades? Now that's a conversation worth having. Old money versus new wealth. Permanence versus disruption. The oil well versus algorithm. This was the executive series. I'll see you on the next episode where we dig even deeper into the world of wealth and legacy. If you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.